Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's call. My name is John Paul, and I'll be your moderator for this event on veterans benefits and what the Department of Veterans Affairs is doing to ensure Minnesota veterans continue to receive the benefits they have earned. In a few short minutes, we'll start taking your live questions. If you'd like to ask a question, just press *3 at any time. I'm pleased to introduce a very special guest we have on the line, Dr. Paul Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence is the Undersecretary for Benefits at the VA. He oversees almost all benefits for every veteran across the country. That includes everything from disability compensation to pensions to education benefits and home loan benefits, just to name a few. Pretty much any benefit you can think of outside of health care. Dr. Lawrence is a veteran himself. He attained the rank of captain in the Army, and he comes from a family of service members. His father was a career Army officer who served in Korea and Vietnam and is buried in Arlington Cemetery. He knows firsthand what it's like to enter into the VA system, and that's why he is working hard to make it better every single day. Dr. Lawrence, thank you first for your service, and thanks so much for doing this call today and being willing to speak openly with Minnesota veterans during this very difficult time.
Thanks, JP, and thanks for everyone who's taken the time to be with us today. I'm going to take your questions live, so, as JP said, if you'd like to participate, press *3 at any time, and we'll do our best to get to you. All I ask is keep your questions brief so that I can get to as many Minnesota veterans as possible. Now, don't forget, today I'll be talking about the benefits available to our veterans from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. But the state of Minnesota also offers benefits to its veterans, and you can find out more about those by visiting the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, and they're available on the web at mn.gov/mdva, or you can call them at this number, and I'll say it twice, 1-888-LINK-VET. Again, Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs at 1-888-LINK-VET. So let me explain why we're doing this and then make a request of our Minnesota veterans and family members. We're doing this for two reasons. First, we're connecting because there are new benefits and programs that we administer. We want to reach out to veterans we may have missed in the past and let them know of these. And second, and most importantly, we want to let our veterans know that VA is truly changing. We are far from perfect, but we're better today than we were just a few years ago. We continue to be more agile, more accessible, more accountable, so that we can be more responsive to the challenges our veterans face. We know that in the past, some of our procedures were an obstacle to get benefits to veterans. That's why I'm on a personal mission with full support of VA Secretary Wilkie and President Trump to make things better for veterans and to make things right for those of you who feel we let you down. Now my request of Minnesota veterans. Please share this with your friends who are veterans or family members or veterans. Let them know we are here. We want them to give us a second chance or just a regular chance or a second chance to provide them with the benefits they've earned. Pass along the helpful information we'll share over the phone today. Encourage them to reach out to us and give them our toll-free number, 1-800-827-1000. You're our best allies ensuring we reach all those who have served. Now, JP, before we get to questions, let me explain the agenda of what we're going to do today. For the next hour or so, we'll be taking questions, and I'll either provide answers or we'll agree to take action. Our VBA team of benefits experts is listening in on this call. I may offer to have somebody call you back to get your personal information and better figure out how we can help. So if I do that, I'd ask you to take our phone call. If our team follows up with a veteran while we're on the call, we'll let you know about that to demonstrate our seriousness we are to providing veterans outstanding customer service. And every 2 or 3 calls, I'll provide some brief information about VBA, important numbers or information that should help our veterans. I'd ask you if you have a pencil and paper ready to copy that information down so it's available for you later. So, JP, let's get to call so I can help as many Minnesota veterans today as possible.
Yes, sir. First, I just want to repeat some of our general information. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000 at any time to learn more about filing a claim or any other VA matters. I want to take a moment to relay the numbers for our crisis line, which is active 24/7, 365. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. Or you can text 838-255. And don't forget that at any time during this call, you can press star 3 if you'd like to ask a question. For our first caller, we have Bonnie on the line. Bonnie, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Dr. Lawrence. Good evening.
How are you
hear me?
doing? Yeah. Are we good? How can we help?
I have a legacy appeal. It's next year, 2021, it will be 6 years old, but right now it's a little over 5 years old. It's been remanded 3 times. So one time when they remanded it, the regional office says, hey, we can't make a decision. So it's been mishandled so many times. First of all, I was told that someone else's case got scanned in with mine, some guy named Johnson. That's all I was told, and that his stuff got scanned in, so they had to sort that out. Okay, it was put on hold again because of a Privacy Act request, because I had requested records. So I sent a letter in saying that the records that I requested had nothing to do with that. Okay, so we got past that. Okay, then they said they're not going to send it back to the regional office again because they messed it up the first time. So they sent it to a doctor in California. Mind you, I live in Texas. They sent it to a doctor in California and to get a decision, because they weren't going to send it back to the regional office. They x-rayed the wrong hand, and so what happened in my case, once they did that, that followed through the whole trail of when it was being sent out to be, I guess, for a decision, it was the wrong hand. So, and I told them that, but they said, well, we have to go with what's on the order. So when it did, they remanded it back then. So what I'm thinking, what I'm wanting to know is, how can I get some? Right now it's just sitting there. It's been remanded back since April the 26th, I think I was told, April the 26th. And I was told it goes back in its normal place on the docket. So when I called to get a status, it says, well, they have other cases, and since yours was remanded and it got back in April, you're just going to have to wait. I said, well, that's not my understanding. My understanding is that it goes back into the on the docket in the spot that it was, so it was being reviewed. So why am I still waiting? I've even sent a message to the VA White House hotline, and so they inquired about it, and the response I got back was, your thing on your back, and I don't even know what that meant, because I have no contention for my back. So that was messed up. I just can't get anything done on this case, and it's been almost 6 years.
My goodness, Bonnie, I don't know what to say about this. I'm just really sorry to hear what's happening to you. Okay, we got to figure this one out and see what's going on. I'm just, struck by all the different things you describe and how it's different than what's supposed to be happening. So, Bonnie, for me to look in on this, I'm going to have one of our team call you and get some personal information. Don't share anything over the phone, okay? We're going to have someone call you and get some personal information. I'm personally going to look in this and figure out where it is and what's going on and why. We'll look and see where it is in the docket and what's possible given your journey. I don't want to overpromise on that, but I do want to see what's going on and why this is bouncing back and forth in the way you describe. It's just odd, to say the least. So let me see what I can do. Somebody will call you, Bonnie, so we can get your personal information so I can look in on this. We'll look in on this and figure out what the path forward is, Bonnie, and what we can do. I'm really sorry to hear about what's happened. I understand your frustration and disappointment. Give us a chance to figure this one out and see what's going on and what's possible going forward. So thanks, Bonnie. Thanks. I'm glad we connected. Let's see what's doable.
Thank you for the call, Bonnie. And for our next caller, we have Sean on the line. Sean, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, how are you this evening?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Excuse me. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea last November, and it got to the point where I stopped breathing in my sleep, and my primary care referred me to the sleep clinic, and the sleep clinic examined me, and they did determine that I had symptoms. And I went and did the overnight sleep study, and there it was. They came to the conclusion that I do stop breathing in my sleep a lot of times during the night, and they recommended I get the sleep apnea machine to assist me with that. So they wrote the Nexus letter out. They put all that down on the Nexus letter, all the symptoms and everything. And I filed a claim. They gave me a judgment, I think in June, and it was for 10%. But from what I understand, the judgment, excuse me, for sleep apnea was 50%. So I was trying to get in contact with someone from DAV or Department of Veteran Affairs, so they could explain to me how was it determined that the sleep apnea that I suffered with was only a 10% rating instead of 50%.
Sure, Sean. Really good question. I'm glad you're asking about that. So let's figure out how we can help, okay? I think you understand what's possible with sleep apnea, or 10 or 50%. But I guess the most important part of what we didn't talk about, Sean, was making sure you got the sleep apnea machine to help you with your condition. So I'll tell you what we'll do, Sean. I'm going to have one of our team give you a call and look in on your situation and explain that to you, and then we'll figure out what's possible. I mean, generally, as you heard the first person, Bonnie, talk about, though it is different than her experience, if you are not satisfied with any of our decisions, you can appeal it, and there are new ways to do it which are much faster than what Bonnie experienced because of the new appeals modernization law the President signed in 2017. So Sean, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have somebody call you. We'll explain the situation. We'll look in on it, and then we'll figure out what your options are and how we might be able to help with that. So thank you, Sean. We'll be calling you to help you figure this one out.
Thank you for the call, Sean. For our next caller, we have O'Neill on the line. O'Neill, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, O'Neill.
How you doing, Doctor? My name is O'Neill Hampton, and I have a litany of problems with my body. I'm a long-term military, 82nd Airborne, jumping out of planes for a living, but that's okay. I wouldn't, if I was to talk to a dear younger me, I wouldn't change nothing I've done. So my thing, what I want to do is actually, I'm standing up right now giving you guys an applause. The VA has been nothing but very, very good to me. And I think you guys need to hear that just as well as hearing anything else that you may hear. But I am very happy with them 100%. In fact, I got to have my other left hip replaced, but I'm happier than 2 ticks on the dog's ass. I'm so happy. I'm just thrilled, and I wouldn't change anything in the world. Now I'm really appreciate the job you're doing, even the job that you're doing right now in connecting with the ones that's kind of not as far as long as where they want to be. I really appreciate you guys, and I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great to hear. Great to hear. I really appreciate you calling in. I'll be sure and pass your compliment on to our colleagues of the Veterans Health Administration. I do want you to know there's 3 people in this room working this, and 2 of us are airborne qualified. So we're there with you in spirit. We understand what you're talking about. But seriously, really appreciate that. I think President Trump has put veterans at the center of his administration. He's charged us to deliver outstanding customer service to our veterans. That's what we're doing here. We're trying as hard as we can. He's given us the largest budget in the history of VA. He's given us the tools. So that's what we're trying to do. It's good to hear it's working for you. My intention is to make it work for all veterans as best we can. So thanks, O'Neill, for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for the call, O'Neill. For our next caller, we have Joan on the line. Joan, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Joan.
Hi, Lawrence. I am also happy with a lot of the changes I've seen in the VA system. However, one area that I have not seen addressed is traveling veterans, whether they be 6 months in one place or 6 months in another, or whether they just be traveling and need care. It is very difficult to get care when you're traveling, and I'm wondering why that hasn't been addressed. I live half the year in Minnesota and half the year in Texas, but I also got injured when I was in Hawaii 1 year for a month, and it was very difficult to access care at the clinic in Maui without having to move my records to Maui and say Maui was now my primary location.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Joan, it's good to hear about the good things you're experiencing. I'm sorry to hear about, experience with a traveling veteran. It's very interesting you bring this up because I did a Tele-Town hall with veterans who lived in Vermont, and one of the things they complimented was the traveling veteran program. So I tell you what, Joan, I'd like to get behind this and better figure out what your experience is. If you don't mind, I'm going to have one of our team give you a call, learn more about what's going on in your travel situation, and see if there isn't something there that we can work on with our colleagues at the Veterans Health Administration to figure out what's going on. So I'm glad to hear about the changes you are noticing. I understand what you're describing about the traveling veteran program. Let's see if you take a few minutes and talk to us so we can better understand your situation. That could very well help us. So thank you, Joan, for calling in. All right, JP, before we go on,
yes, sir.
I do want to give a little bit of benefits information to everyone on the phone before we jump into more questions. One of the things we're getting a lot of questions about in these Tele-Town halls is managing debt. So obviously veterans incur debt with us, we've overpaid them or something like that. And so they're asking questions that, gee, during the pandemic, is there any relief? And
right.
The answer is yes. We can suspend your debt or rearrange your payments. We cannot waive it, but we can do that if that is helpful for our veterans. The way this works is the veterans have to initiate this by calling our debt management center at 1-800-827-0648. And I'll say that again. The debt management center to have your debt, your debt payments rearranged or suspended, again, not waived, but rearranged or suspended by calling our debt management center at 1-800-827-0648.
Thank you for that information, sir. Going back to the phones, we have Bob on the line. Bob, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
How are you doing? How can we help?
Yes, I was just wondering if maybe you would have someone call me because it's a little bit lengthy. I don't want to take up your precious time. But like the other veterans, I want to tell you I've had nothing but great care through the VA. It's the process in itself in your claim. It's now been over 4 years. And I've gone to the local doctors in the VA, and they tested me. They sent me to 2 outside doctors that you deal with. All of them listed me as unemployable. It goes on up the top, and they reject it. I don't understand that.
Yeah, Bob, I'm really glad we connected, and the answer is yes. Let's get someone to look in on this and figure out what's going on. And I don't understand it either. I'm sorry you've had to spend so much time with us only to have it be rejected. Let's see if we can't figure something out and what a course of action forward is, Bob, whether it's, us going back and checking one more time or whether it's something in the new appeals modernization process. So I appreciate you being brief, Bob, on this one. I'm sorry to hear about your journey with us. I appreciate your patience. It's great to hear about the care you're receiving, like others or Neil. I'll certainly share your compliment. It sounds like you're getting care from a Veterans Health Administration. I'll share your compliment with our colleagues at VHA. So thank you so much, Bob. Yes, we will follow up with you. We'll figure out what's going on and see how we can help.
Thank you for the call, Bob. For our next caller, we have Christopher on the line. Christopher, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Christopher.
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. Thank you for taking my call. Mine might be fairly simple. I filed notice of benefits about 2.5, 3 years ago. They approved it for a hearing, which I didn't worry that much about, but the neck damage and headaches, they rejected it, even though I had about 7 or 8 documented incidences in my file, for my VA file. And it's so much so that DAV in my local county just scratched their head and they said, we're just going to file clerical error appeal. And I'm just wondering how much, I have more information now that they asked me to get of, private doctors and things, but we're waiting to do that to hear back from the VA. How long does a clerical error appeal usually take? The DAV is just saying there's no way that a person reviewing this should have come to that conclusion. Saying there's no evidence.
Yeah, I think you're talking about a clear and unmistakable error. So it should have been pretty quick, and so that's why when you began, Christopher, saying it took 2.5 or 3 years, I was scratching my head. I'm glad you're getting DAV to help you. They have great service officers that help our veterans do this. I'm glad they're able to look in on this. They're normally happening pretty quick, but again, there's a little bit of the pandemic going on. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm trying to explain, but mostly I'm curious as well, Christopher. Let me get somebody to give you a call so we can look in on this and see what's in your file and what's taking place and why this is taking so long and what information we have from you already, what evidence we have, and why this has turned into such an ordeal. So thanks, Christopher. Let us follow up with you, get some information, and see what we can do. This is just taking a long time for something that seems like you have provided all the information we need and the like. And certainly we should be able to figure out, if that isn't possible, what your other possibilities are in terms of appealing decision, and we can explain that to you and your representative too. So thank you, Christopher.
Thank you for the call, Christopher. For our next caller, we have Mark on the line. Mark, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you much for taking my call. I'll try to make my call quick as well here, sir. What I'm looking at is the VA has been great with me here in Minneapolis, but I have a right knee condition where the chief orthopedic surgeon said it was more likely than not. However, the doctors on the C&P side, when I went in for the examination, stated to me that they weren't medical doctors, that they couldn't make a decision. Well, I was denied the claim on my right knee, and I was just hoping that you can have someone from your office give me a call where I can give them a little bit more better detail of the case, because when my decision was rejected, I was had the POA for Purple Heart Association, but they went out of business, I guess, and so no one filed the follow-up appeal on me. So I was just hoping that you could get someone from your office to give me a call to help me try to resolve this.
Sure, Mark. I'm really glad we connected absolutely to that. And let me explain to folks what you're describing so others might have the same experience, right? So you're unhappy, you're disappointed in a decision we made, and I'm kind of curious as well, given that you spend so much time with us. And so you're asking about an appeal, right? So you had a representative from Purple Heart Association, and you're right. They no longer do this, and so we're transitioning veterans who have that, or they're supposed to be helping us transition veterans to other service officers, and you're right. So, we talk all the time about having our veterans get service officers to get help because some of our processes are complicated. They are generally trained in this, and they're very good. And also, quite frankly, they have the tools that make it easier to deal with us. So, for example, a lot of things we have for us technology, so they can direct upload stuff into our system, which makes it easier for everybody, the veterans and us, to process. So, yes, Mark, we'll have someone give you a call. We'll figure out what's going on, see what the options are, see what help's available to assist you with this if necessary, and what we can do to help move this along and figure it out, your situation. So thank you, Mark. JP, before we go on,
yes, sir.
I do want to talk to our veterans about something else and ask for their help. We are very much concerned about homeless veterans. So
right.
if you are on this line and you are a homeless veteran, or if you see somebody who you think might be a homeless veteran, please call our homeless line. It's 877-424-3838. And if you do see somebody who might be a homeless veteran, give the location, and we will go and see whether they are a veteran and see what resources are available to them. Same thing, if you are homeless, please call this number, 877-424-3838. There are resources available so that we can help our veterans. And finally, if you are homeless, if you simply walk into a VA medical center and say you are homeless, there'll be folks there, the greeter, there'll be folks there to help figure out what resources are appropriate and what we can do. So please, I'd ask our Minnesota veterans and family members, help us find our homeless veterans so we can get them resources and assistance.
Thank you for that information, sir. Going back to the phones, we have David on the line. David, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, David.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How can we help?
Okay, a couple of things real quickly. Well, first off, retroactive payments for people who have contracted diseases that are presumptive with Agent Orange, okay? You spoke about this a little bit yesterday. To put my own case in perspective, I have Parkinson's disease, and I served in-country Vietnam in a place called the Rung Sat Special Zone, which was saturated with Agent Orange during the time frame that was considered correct, 1972-73 time frame. Sure, not blue water. I'm a Navy guy, 32 years in the Navy. Went from seaman apprentice to captain. Okay, so I contracted Parkinson's disease, and then I found out well after I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease that the VA was addressing the problem. So I applied. Well, the truth of the matter is this. They only pay retroactive benefits to the date that you applied, not the date that you were diagnosed, not the date that you were exposed to Agent Orange, only to the date where you applied for the benefits. I wasn't aware of the benefits for a good long period of time after I was diagnosed. Diagnosis date doesn't count. There's only one case in the history of the VA where retroactive payments went way back when, and that's the Niemer case. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. Niemer was denied benefits for a heart condition that he claimed was caused by Agent Orange. Many years went by. He was denied the claim because the VA at the time didn't recognize Agent Orange as a cause of his disease. Many years went by, and then lo and behold, the type of cardiac problem that he had was in fact covered by the VA's decision on Agent Orange. He reapplied. They gave him the thing only to the date of his reapplication. He said, no, it should go all the way back to when I applied the first time and I was denied. Well, he had to fight that all the way to the Court of Appeals because the VA fought him tooth and nail all the way, but they had to pay it. So they paid it all the way back to when he put his initial claim in, not to when he got the diagnosis of the heart disease, not to when he was exposed to Agent Orange. So that puts the rest of us in an interesting position. What we need to do in order to collect is to have some sort of crystal ball that tells us what's going to be granted in the future, and go ahead and apply for that, even though you know it'll be not granted when you apply for it, and hope that in the future it'll come your way. Because that's the only way you get reimbursed back to another one is to have a previous claim. Okay? Do you follow me on that?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not so certain our understanding of the facts is lining up. But I tell you what, David, do you have a question? Because I do want to follow up with you and get more about your situation to better understand it and see if, the rules are being interpreted correctly. So do you have a question? You said you had two things, so you made a point. Do you have a question?
Why is it that you have to have 100% disability for your heirs to inherit anything from Agent Orange? And I'll explain that real briefly. According to the thing that the rules that the VA has, they don't consider Parkinson's disease to be a terminal disease. So consequently, Parkinson's and Lou Gehrig's are handled the same way. They award you a 30% minimum, and then you have to every so often, at your discretion, reapply for increases in benefits. Well, they don't say when to reapply for the new benefits. 80% of us will wind up with dementia. So when that happens, of course, you can't reapply for increase in benefits. You have to have a legal representative do it. And if you haven't lived for 10 years with the thing, after the initial award was made, and married to the same woman for that period of time, then there's no award to the spouses. None. Zero. Zip. So, and reaching the 100% is a challenge in itself because of VA man. Now, I'm a mathematician by training, and I can tell you that an actuary put that together. It is so prejudiced against reaching 100% that it's laughable. It was done by an actuary.
Yeah, David. Okay, David. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
It seems like so, David, I tell you what. Our understanding of these facts is different, okay? So there are spousal benefits available to spouses of veterans, okay? So let's not, confuse the issue here. But I tell you what, David, you're obviously very well informed about your situation, and we need to make sure we're helping you. I want to have somebody give you a call, and we're going to dig into this and figure out what's going on and make sure we all have the right understanding of what's available and what's not, okay? Because Niemer set in motion a whole series of things, and I don't want to bore the audience with sort of legal speak, right? So I just want to make sure we're giving you the best advice we can in terms of your situation and trying to figure out what benefits are available for your spouse and how often you should be coming back and what we can make sure is happening for you, David. So, okay, David, so while I know you have strong opinions and stuff, our intent is to help you, so we'll be reaching out and trying to figure out how we can do that. So please give us a chance to do that. I understand the emotion around this. I can appreciate your frustration. I'm sorry you feel this way. Let's see what we can do. I'd ask you to give us a chance to kind of work on this with you and see what's possible. So thank you, David, for calling in. Appreciate your perspective on all these. Let's see what we can do together on this one.
Thank you for your call, David. For our next caller, we have Ben on the line. Ben, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Lawrence. I've got two questions, I guess, for you. I'll start off with the easier one first. In 2013, I foreclosed on a VA home loan, and I guess, I go to different sites and everything's kind of, one site will say one thing, another site will say another. So I guess my question is are we able to use our VA loan a second time? Because my understanding is I lost $50,000 of my benefit. So I'm wondering, if it was $400,000, do I still have a remaining of $350, or how does that actually work?
Sure, Ben. Why don't you ask your second question? So if we have somebody follow up with you, I can sort of do this collectively and make sure the right people assist you. Ben, you still there?
So I kind of got tired of going through the claim process and just accepted what the VA gave me or whatever. But so when I went through my claims, after I came back from my deployment, I was diagnosed with major depressive and anxiety order. And then I met with your subcontractor, whoever that is, like on a Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering how he can take everything that's put in, where you take hours of time, like, I've seen this shrink for hours or whatever. And he's the one that, stated, like, even in the paperwork, without a question, his depression and anxiety is military related or, like unquestionable or whatever, but civilian doctor, I guess. So he puts that in there. I go meet with your subcontractor guy for like 10, 15 minutes, and he gives me, what did he give me? Adjustment disorder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ben.
I guess I just don't understand. And then, and then I got sleep apnea too, put in for that and denied, like all
sure,
that.
Ben.
I guess I just don't understand how a person come up with that 15-minute greeting.
Yeah, sure, Ben. Okay, no, I understand, Ben. I understand. So here's how we're going to help, Ben. I'm going to have someone give you a call, and we're going to work on your issues. So let me explain. The answer is, if you've been foreclosed on your home loan, this VA, the answer is yes, you can use it again, but the circumstances under which are sort of I need to have someone precisely define it to you. So I don't want to mislead you. You can, but there are some sort of things you have to meet. So we'll have one of our folks give you a call and talk to you about that. The second thing is, I want to make sure, I'm sorry to hear you felt disgusted and gave up on the claims process, because it really is not supposed to be that way. And even if you're disappointed in this, there are ways to appeal and get your situation resolved in the way you think it might be possible. Okay, so I want to have our folks look in on that and explain the appeals process and look in on your situation to make sure we see all that the information and the evidence is available. Now, the one thing I do want to address is, right, when our veterans go to what's called a C&P exam, that is done by contractors now, and you're right, they are contractors, okay, who do this for us. They're part of civilian companies, so they are civilian doctors by definition, okay? The thing they're told to do is validate the condition. So I know a lot of veterans feel like, I came in there, they only took 15 minutes, because it may only take 15 minutes to validate your conditions. They should have your medical records, they should know a lot of things, and they have protocols about what they're supposed to do to validate conditions. So the disappointment in the decision should not be thought about as the time they spent with you. It can be disappointment in the decision. They might have spent the right time with you, seen certain things and decided what's what, and you can still be dissatisfied with the decision. Don't forget, the doctors don't make the decision. They provide evidence which our claims adjudicators decide. So again, that's kind of how it all happens, which is why the appeals modernization process is so important, and I really want to have somebody work with you, Ben. So we're going to get you the answer to the loan guarantee question based on your specific situation, and we're going to figure out how we can work with you on the claim and convince you to come back, and if appeal is the appropriate thing, how we can get somebody to help you with that if you would like, because we don't want you to be, unhappy with the situation and simply give up. We'd rather you continue to work with us and see what we can do. So, JP, before we go on, I do want our veterans to know that while we've been talking, we have contacted several of the veterans we talked about. Sean was the second person who called in, and we're currently on the phone with him, reviewing his file and discussing a way forward. Remember, he had situations of, hey, why is this taking so long? Bonnie was the first person we called. She had a legacy appeal. We are talking to her now, trying to look in on this and seeing what the status is and what's possible. And Bob called pretty early on, and he was talking about, again, it's taken a long time to get my claim done, and we're trying to better understand the evidence for individual unemployability that he was working on. So I do want folks to know we do have a team on here. We may not be able to resolve everything instantly, but we are following up. We're trying to connect with our veterans and figure out what it is we can do to help them get the benefits they've earned.
Yes, sir, and it's great to know we have a dedicated team in our call center following up with our veterans on this call. For our next caller, we have Gregory on the line. Gregory, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Gregory.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Lawrence. How are you doing?
Great, thanks. How can we help?
First of all, I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for your father's service. That's quite a legacy that you've got there. I got a couple concerns. Number one, I've had prostate cancer since it was diagnosed on January of 2014 when I was still working. So I dealt with a private insurance company, and the doctor there said, Greg, we can monitor your prostate situation. You don't have to have your whole prostate removed. We can monitor it. So I had a TURP done, doctor, in March of 2014. But I have been 100% temporary disabled since February 1 of 2014. My concern is I was talking to my veteran service officer recently in the Twin Cities area, and he said that he had a veteran that he's working with that was told by the VA that you have prostate cancer, but it's not getting any worse. And therefore, they were considering cutting his benefit from 100% temporary to something less than that. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems to me you either have prostate cancer or you don't. And if it's presumptive, then you should have 100%. My second concern is I have one of my biggest concerns, doctor, is that I have peripheral neuropathy. I've had that now for probably 10 years. I have it now in both of my feet, both of my legs, below my knees, and I also now have it in my left hand. My left hand is permanently partially numb. So peripheral neuropathy is one of my bigger issues. I have a number of Vietnam veteran friends that also have peripheral neuropathy. None of us are overweight. None of us have diabetes. So I know that for it to be presumptive, you have to contract it within 1 year of leaving Vietnam. It seems to me that there's more and more evidence that more and more veterans are coming down with peripheral neuropathy later in life. I'm talking about 60 plus. And it seems to me that I know one veteran, and it happens to be out in Las Vegas, that has a 90% rating for his peripheral neuropathy. But I think peripheral neuropathy is something that the VA should re-examine in light of the fact of so many veterans that have peripheral neuropathy that are not overweight and do not have diabetes.
Okay, Gregory. Well, I'm glad you called. Let's figure out what we're going to do. I take your point about peripheral neuropathy. I'm not a medical doctor, so I understand what you're saying. We'll work with our folks to better explain your point on that one, okay? But I do want someone to give you a call to look in on your prostate cancer, because one of the things we're very much concerned about is sort of what you said, which is a veteran service officer said he knew of a case, and so I do want to explain general information about what you're talking about, prostate cancer, and the veteran who had his rating reduced, and get somebody looking on your situation so that we can translate what I'm about to say broadly into the relevant information for your situation, okay? So for certain conditions, we do ask, veterans to come in and let us re-examine them. These are generally conditions where we think they could result in getting better, if you will, okay? This comes up in cancer all the time, because if the cancer goes into remission, and I'm not a medical doctor, Gregory, so bear with me, sort of our rules require, we would say, well, it is better, and therefore a reduction might be possible. But what we always advise our veterans is, when we do a potential reduction, veterans have due process and can submit additional evidence. Further, if cancer were to become active again, they could apply for an increase in benefits. Now, that sounds worrisome to our veterans, say your benefits may go down. And yes, it is possible, but here are the facts. In 2019, fiscal year 2019, when we did this, only 5% of the claims re-examined result in reductions. So what your service officer was telling you regularly is technically true, but it's not really practical based on the situation. And again, we understand sort of how things happen. Our knowledge of cancer is based on these rules, and I think you're right. You sort of think cancer could be forever, but, the more we learn about it, maybe not. And that's the situation you're describing. But it's supposed to be a veteran-friendly process, but also, following the rules we're trying to do to make sure it is also fair all the way around. But again, Gregory, I do want one of our team to give you a call to better look on your situation and look at it exactly. So while I've given you some broad general information, I want to make sure it's precise and have our team give you a call. So, JP, before we go on,
Yes, sir.
I do want to talk to something about real quick about the program we have that's really appropriate for a lot of veterans. We are very concerned about veterans who get their benefits in a check or a prepaid debit card, what I would call the old-fashioned ways. And as you can imagine, you can lose the check and you're without benefits, or you have to go to a check cashing service and they will charge you a fee and you will pay your benefits to get your benefits, pay the money. Or debit cards have fees, okay, and they're prone to identity theft and fraud and all these things. So we really want to discourage our veterans from getting their benefits in a check or a prepaid debit card. We strongly suggest to them that they get their benefits in an electronic funds deposit into a bank account or account in a credit union, okay? So we started the Veterans Benefits Banking Program. If you put that in your search engine, Veterans Benefits Banking Program, you'll be brought to a page where you can click on I want an account, and you'll see 33 banks and credit unions, and you'll recognize many of them nationally known, have locations, they have excellent customer service, they're regulated by the federal government, and they are offering free checking to our veterans. That's exactly what I said. No cost checking to our veterans who get their benefits payments deposited into these checking accounts. So we strongly ask you, if you're getting your benefits in a check or a debit card, or you know a buddy who is, encourage them to be banked. Get a bank or a credit union. Do this by going to the Veterans Benefits Banking Program on the web. It's right there. It's easy to do, and quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything. It's just safer. In this time of the world, you can imagine places where there are fires, the mail can't be delivered. We have an awesome postal service, but if there are floods, it will not be delivered. If there's a period of social unrest, they will not deliver, so you'll be without your benefits. But that would not be true if you had a bank or a credit union where you're getting electronic funds deposits. So again, Veterans Benefits Banking Program.
Thank you for that information, sir. Going back to the phones, we have Wolfie on the line. Wolfie, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hello, Wolfie.
Hey, Dr. Lawrence. I just want to tell you that everybody just raves about you.
Well, thank you very much, Wolfie. I appreciate that. We're just trying to do the business here of veterans, and, nothing disappoints me more when I hear about our veterans who've had bad past experiences with us. I'm really trying to get those right and see how we can help veterans get their benefits. So how can we help you, Wolfie?
Well, I went for a little over 7 years trying to get my deserved benefits, and I was denied. And finally, I was going to the VA, medical, and finally, thanks to Congressman John Rutherford, he got me 70%. I was a Vietnam combat vet. I bought a 8mm movie camera when we came out of the bush to go to the rear, and we'd normally get hot food and a little entertainment and whatever, and I used the camera. And anyway, somebody said, "What are you going to do with that camera now that we're going back in the bush?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to put it in the storeroom." And they said, "You're an idiot because it'll get stolen." So I put it in an M60 ammo can to keep it dry. I took it into the bush, and on an air mobile combat assault, my legs are hanging out of the Huey. I have the camera in my right hand, my weapon in my left hand, and I'm taking movies. And this was April 10th. On April 11th was Easter Sunday. Chaplain Merle Brown came out to bring us hot food. Anyway, the bottom line is he was killed and 10 guys in front of me, and it was disaster. I had been in Vietnam in 2 weeks. I was on my first patrol. We get ambushed, and the guy in front of me died in my arms. And I deserve 100%. And I keep fighting them. I'm not in Minneapolis. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was told that the North Florida, South Georgia VA regional office would not approve vets for disability because their bonuses were based on keeping expenses down.
All right, Wolfie. So let me kind of jump in right here, Wolfie. I appreciate your description of your service, and I can't imagine what it must have been like on April 10th and 11th as you described. But I want to tell you what you just said about the bonuses is factually inaccurate. So let me repeat. That is false. okay? So I'm very much concerned about your situation, Wolfie. I'd like to have one of our team give you a call and look in on it, but I certainly want to ask you to tell all your friends, your veterans friends, who are sharing that information, that is not true, okay? The way benefits are paid to our veterans, it comes from something that Congress authorizes called the mandatory spend. It is there for veterans. There's not been cut. It goes up based on the benefits our veterans have earned, okay? So no, there is no connection between that number and how our employees are rewarded, okay? And quite frankly, it's gone up every year for the last 10 or so years because, you know, as more veterans serve, as they get older, they come back and get these benefits. So please, Wolfie, let us work with you on this, but I didn't mean to cut you off, but I certainly want to discourage you from saying that, because that is absolutely not true. Let's look in on your situation and see what's going on. And you know, it just pains me, Wolfie, to hear people talk about, you know, you're fighting with us. That's not the kind of organization that we should be or I want to lead. And quite frankly, when the system works the way it's supposed to be, we're on the same team, and we should be fighting for you, Wolfie. So look, we're going to reach out, we're going to figure out what's going on in your situation and see how we can help. So thank you, Wolfie, for calling.
Thank you for the call, Wolfie. For our next caller, we have Paul on the line. Paul, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Doc. I spent 37 years fighting the VA until I finally got a lawyer and won. And it bothers me some that I lost 37 years of my benefits. I was medically discharged after a physical review board from the United States Coast Guard. And to this very day, it seems to me that the Veterans Administration should have done something about it. It was a blatant case of I was medically discharged, and they denied my claim for 37 years.
So, Paul, I'm really sorry to hear about this, and obviously I won't be able to rewrite the past. You know, we're trying to get better so this doesn't happen going forward. I tell you what, there's probably nothing we can do, Paul, but I would like our folks to get your information so I can look on this and better understand your journey. Again, I'm not so certain there's anything we'll be able to help you with. I feel for what you're saying, and I appreciate your patience as you describe it. But I would like to look on this on better understand, if only for, you know, what might be relevant for what I do as the leader of this organization. So again, I'm going to have someone give you a call, Paul. Just get your personal information so we can look at it. I don't think this will result in anything, but certainly make sure, you know, we better understand it. And also, quite frankly, if there's other benefits that might be relevant, we want to make sure you're getting those too. So thanks, Paul, for your story. Sorry to hear about your journey again. You know, it saddens me when people talk about fighting with us, but please give us a chance to look in on this and see, you know, what we can learn from this and if there's anything else that can be done for you.
Thank you for the call, Paul. For our next caller, we have Seth on the line. Seth, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Seth.
Hi, guys. Hope you're having a blessed day. My thing is I have a couple of concerns. Mainly, I was 2015-16 deployed, 17-18 as well, and prior 2011-12. But I was attached from the 345th to a AESMC in 335th, a change of unit, and I went through that deployment, saved up money, continued school, and then 17-18 got deployed again. Well, 2017 to 18, I started getting recoupment of $900 every check, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, I had to put a financial packet in 3 times with the 335th, 345th, and the current unit in Minnesota, because I switched from Jacksonville to here in Minnesota for nursing school. And apparently, while I was deployed to 2017 to 18, my unit in the 345th in Jacksonville, Florida, was giving me U's, saying I was an attendant drill because they had a change of, command. And when that happened, they took $6,500 away, and I paid it back. And I put the latest packet in April of last year with my command sergeant major, who's like a mentor for me. And right now I have no help, and there's no information going down the drain. My command sergeant major, last time I asked him, was like, hey, he tells me it's at the brigade level, and he works at the VA. And, I talked to my JAG lawyer, and they're like, I don't even know why you're going to drills. And, I put a I gave them all the orders. I gave them all the information they needed, but Now February's coming up, and it's like my third and final contract is coming up, because I've been in 12 years almost. And I had no help right there, and it's kind of, annoying where I had to take a loan out for nursing school just to make sure I can pay for things for my family, since online, I guess, with this COVID, I'm getting half to pay. And that's one of the bothersome things as well with on top of, I guess, what a lot of my brothers and sisters are stating. And I put myself in a benefits for multiple things, and that got denied. And then in 2013, I was assigned a person to look over my stuff as well. Not 2013, sorry, 2019 last year, because my first sergeant assigned me someone yet to reach out to me. And it's right now I'm at the crossroads of, do I stay in because I need I like the benefits and stuff, but at the same time I'm going broke waiting for them to pay me back, and then my compensation is not getting any look at. And it's at the point where every night my wife's like, yeah, talking in your sleep again. I did sleep studies and did everything, and it's just, I'm kind of frustrated. I don't know what to do. Do I stay in 20 years or do I get out? But it's like the only reason I'm trying to stay in is because I want to set myself up for success. So I'm just I need a lot of help.
Yeah, Seth, you're right. I'm thinking the same thing. We need to help you. Okay, Seth, so let's figure out what we're going to do. First, I'm going to have one of our team call you because we've got to get behind this. I think you did a really good job of summarizing real quickly, but there's a bunch of things we need to look in on. Okay, Seth? So you're right. So if you have a debt with us, right, because you've been drilled, you've been doing drill, there's a set of rules that go in and do that. And we can explain that to you and better figure out what the possibilities are. I'm sorry to hear if you're applying for compensation, you're not feeling that's appropriate. Again, we invite our veterans to come back in and reapply if conditions have gotten worse, or appeal if they're unhappy with the decision. So it sounds like, Seth, there's a lot going on in your situation. Let us look in on it so we can give you more precise advice and assistance going forward. Okay, Seth? So let us give you a call. We'll figure this one out, see what's going on, see what we can help, see what's possible so you can, get the benefits you've earned, and make the right decision about your life and your path forward. So hang in there, Seth. Let us give you a call. We'll figure this one out.
Thank you for the call, Seth. For our next caller, we have Bonnie on the line. Bonnie, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Bonnie.
Thank you for your help. I'm kind of new at all this, so I hope I can explain this. My husband has a stroke and dementia, and he's 93, and I've been taking care of him 24/7 because we're in an assisted living, but I fell and broke my hip, and so we had to get somebody to come in to sit with him 24/7. But we've been applying for a pension for a couple of years now just to get some little extra help a month, and they keep asking us for different things. And I do have somebody from the vets that have been helping me fill out the paperwork because we're a little older and slow at this. And so I just don't know where to go to and how she can even help more, because we fill out everything, we send in everything, and they just keep saying, oh, it's coming, but they don't really deny it, but they don't really give us any information on when this is going to all happen, and it's getting kind of tough.
Yeah, Bonnie. Okay, well, I'm glad we connected, Bonnie. So let's figure out a couple things. So first, we're going to give you a call. We're going to figure out how we can help. And you're right. I'm sorry to tell you, or you realize the paperwork around pension can be tedious. So we'll figure out whether there's other folks who can help you do this, get you a service officer and the like, and they'll do this for free, and we can figure out what's what. I do know that our pension folks will expedite certain things based on certain conditions, age, terminal illness, and the like. You and your husband, you might be eligible for that. In addition, Bonnie, there's a whole new set of benefits that I'll briefly go over the last time to talk about. One's called aid and attendance, which might be appropriate, and also there's something in the new law the President signed a couple of years ago called caregivers, which might be eligible for you. So, Bonnie, I'll have one of our folks give you a call, and we'll work with you on what these different things are and certainly help you figure out what the story is with your pension application and what's going on and how we can help you with the paperwork and see what's possible in terms of expediting it given the situation for your husband. So thank you, Bonnie, for connecting. Let us figure this one out with you. We'll get someone to help you.
Thank you for the call, Bonnie. For our next caller, we have William on the line. William, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, William.
Yes, hello. How are you today?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Yeah, I'm calling from Orlando, Florida. I apologize for that. I didn't know about the Florida call last week. I just found out about this call today. The reason I'm calling, I have a case that's been ongoing for 5+ years, excuse me, and I really would like to get to the bottom of it. part of the claim is the PTSD. I am a Vietnam infantryman veteran from 1967, and I just recently underwent some medical treatments that I think that could be connected to Agent Orange while I was in Vietnam. I was just wondering if someone can get in contact with me and I can give them more information in regards to that.
Yes, please, William. I'm really glad we connected. You're right. I mean, Agent Orange is a law that provides benefits to our veterans. I'm really, really sorry to hear it's taking 5 years to do this. We tended to do these things a little more expeditiously. Thank you for connecting with us. Yes, absolutely. Let me get somebody to give you a call and figure out what's going on, where it is, and how we can help. So thank you, William.
Thank you for the call, William. For our next caller, we have Chris on the line. Chris, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Chris.
Taking my call. I have an education question, actually. I transferred my education benefits while I was still on active duty, transferred it to my daughter, and then I retired. And my daughter has since gone. She isn't using it. And I wasn't married at the time, but I got married now. I've been married for 3 years. And my wife wants to get her master's degree, so I went in. I wanted to allow my spouse to use it, but it says that she's not eligible. And I spoke to a couple other veterans that they were able to change it, or there's something, because I wasn't married at the time. You know, as it was my understanding that my spouse, or that my dependents, and she is listed as a dependent in DEERS, obviously, that dependents, you know, it can be transferred to dependents. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is I can do, you know, so that my wife would be able to use that.
Sure, Chris. I'm glad you called on this one, and I'm going to have to defer to some of our experts who will have to give you a call. Here's where my knowledge kind of comes up a little bit short, right? Because you transfer your GI Bill while you're on the Department of Defense, right? While you're in service, and so those are the folks who do that, right? We then administer it as you thought about having that for your daughter. So I'll get one of our team, our education team, to give you a call and better figure out what the options are. I'm just not familiar enough with that. But I guess, so we'll follow up with you, Chris. And JP, yes, for other veterans on the phone who have questions about education, we do have a great team, our education team, and they can be reached at 188-GI-BILL-1. Help with questions like this. We'll work with Chris. We'll figure this one out and see what's possible. I'm glad he called us and connected, because it's great he's talking to other veterans, but sometimes our information doesn't quite make it exactly out there. This is a very technical question he's asking. Let's see if we can get him an answer that helps now his wife get an education.
Very good. Hang in there, Chris. Help is on the way. And, sir, that was our last question. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Wow, JP, the hour went by really fast. You know, special thanks to everyone who called to ask us questions. You know, special thanks for the folks asking us tough questions. Really makes us think about what we need to provide in terms of communication and support. And as you've heard, we're going to follow up with our veterans, and some we've done already. I talked a little while ago about 3 we had connected with. We've since connected with 4 others. Ben talked about a home loan, right? He had been foreclosed on. We're working with him. Mark was taken care of by the Purple Heart. He was wondering who could help him now since they're no longer processing that. We're working with him on that. Christopher was on about an appeal. We're with him now. We're providing him information. And Joan asked about travelers' benefits. Right. So we're working that to better figure out what's going on and how we can make sure she gets the benefits that she's earned, and especially as she travels around the country. So thanks for everyone who called and give us the opportunity to solve your problem. And quite frankly, a second opportunity to solve your problem and re-earn your trust. We really appreciate that. Thanks also to the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for helping, coordinate this and collaborate with us. Really appreciate the assistance of Commissioner Larry Herkey of the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Met him once when I was out visiting back in the day we could. I visited our regional office in Minneapolis. So I'm really looking forward to the day when you can all travel again and take pictures with each other. So JP, I know you're going to do our social media sites in a minute so folks can follow us and stay up to date. For folks who want to pay attention to what I'm doing, I'm on LinkedIn as my name, Paul Lawrence. I try to post important information and facts and resources about VBA. You can follow me. You can't connect. I'm out of connections, but I understand it's the same thing. And every Friday at noontime, I post a short video called News You Can Use from VBA in less than 10 minutes, which you might find informative. So thank you to everyone who joined and participated. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. The folks who asked questions. As we promised to the folks we follow, we will be following up with you.
Thank you, sir. I just want to remind everyone how they can get more information on any VA program. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000. FAQs from these events are available on our website by searching Tele-Town Hall FAQs, and to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, search Veterans Benefits Administration, on Twitter at VA Vet Benefits, and on Instagram, VA Benefits. This concludes our Tele-Town Hall for Minnesota. A big thank you to all the veterans and family members that called in. Good night.